Hi, Chris here. In this video I want to talk about the confusion that's out there with, what are we supposed to eat to be healthy, and who are we supposed to be listening to, because there's so many voices and so many views and opinions on what is the right diet for humanity, and all the different diets out there and views and opinions. So, and I know there's a lot of confusion out there. Which one am I supposed to be listening to? And I go some very simple basic principles I'm going to talk about in this video, by going about living a healthy lifestyle and sticking to those, because these are truths out there in the nutrition and dietary world, and there's no doubting these particular things I'm going to be talking about in this video. And just sticking to those principles, because those principles will be true for the rest of your lifetime. Where some of these diets, whether it's a high carb diet, a high fat diet, a high protein diet, they seem to have their glory for a decade, and then all of a sudden another different diet comes out and it gets changed, and that essentially allows confusion to occur within what are we supposed to be eating. So these principles I'm going to start off with is that water is very important. Water is very important. Our body is mainly composed of water, and our organs, our bloodstream and so on is mainly water. The body requires a lot of water, and I think that people understand the importance of water, but I'm going to talk a bit more about the quality of our water that we're drinking. So here at Truly Holistic, we're the alternative to the alternative. So, and I'm dealing with universal problems as well. So, water comes into play because within the universe, our galaxy, and within space in general, water is found everywhere. The sun and every other star out there are water makers. Because what's water made out of? Oxygen and hydrogen, and stars are made out of hydrogen and also some oxygen, and when you put those together it creates water. So every star that you see out there are water generators. So water's found everywhere and anywhere that you can think of. So would this mean that water is the fountain of youth? I think it is. That's my opinion, because they don't talk about eating something. They talk about the fountain of youth, and the fountain is a liquid. And what's the universal solvent liquid that we have in the universe? And it's water. So water is essential, and the quality of our water is essential, because when we're getting a quality raw water, and I'll explain what I mean by that, we're getting structured water. And when it comes to microclusters and all these foods that have all these micronutrients present, they have geometry and shape to them at a chemical level, and the chemistry of this food, and an electrical level of the food. So structure and symmetry and geometry is so important, and that's where the word information comes from. We gather information. Information is just about the structure. Okay, so we want water that has information in it, so therefore it's information with the structure, the compounds. So when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about spring water. Now that's raw water. That's the original water that comes from aquifers that is underneath the ground. That water that's been sitting there for thousands of years, and it's gone through all the sediment and all the layers of rock, clay and all these certain things, and carbon, to eventually go down to the aquifer. And then all of a sudden the water bypasses our law of gravity, and all of a sudden shoots up to the surface. And while it's shooting up to the surface, it's going through all these different layers of the crust of the earth, like a carbon layer, clay layer, sediment layer, all these layers, which is essentially how we built filters for water, was based on how the earth filters its natural water, spring water. So the best filter for water is the earth itself. So spring water is a great water, is the best water you can drink, in my opinion. And of late, I've always been looking for a really great spring water here locally where I live here in New Perth, Taranaki, New Zealand, and I've just found one. And there's a company called Clear As, which I've got here, the bottle, put that up there, and they produce a spring water that comes from an aquifer underneath Taranaki, and they're located in Okado, Taranaki, and I really endorse this product. It's a great water. When you drink this water, you'll notice the taste feels completely different, and it's very soft, and it's very wet, and it's what I mean by wet. It's very hydrating to the body, and it's so light, and it's fantastic. You're getting all the microclusters within the water, and all that sacred geometry of the water molecules being in formation. And it's a raw water. It hasn't been processed at all. It's original fountain of youth, let's say. So water is vital. So that's what I'm pretty much saying here, and there'll be no denying that. Water is important. So let's go to the next one, and it's sugar. Now, there's no denying the fact that sugar is bad for us. White processed sugar is bad for us. There's no denying that. So part of our health or nutritional paradigm is always going to be focused on reducing the amount of processed sugar that we're consuming. So sugar is bad for us because it causes inflammation, and inflammation is caused in the body when we're consuming substances that are not natural to the human body to be able to metabolize and digest and to use it for a fuel source. So sugar is really right at the top of the list of what causes weight gain. So anybody out there that wants to lose weight, white processed sugar is definitely a vital component in reducing weight. You need to remove that out of the diet completely. And sugar is right at the top of the list of what's causing all these degenerative diseases such as cancer and heart disease, bad joint health, and so on. So that's definitely one thing that we need to think about in maintaining or creating a healthy lifestyle. The next component is something that we know, is that inflammation causes disease. We know that. So when you're focusing on a diet to lose weight, because when a symptom of inflammation is that we put on weight. Okay, so obesity and putting on fat is actually a disease. So that's a sign that our body is inflamed. So we really need to focus on consuming anti-inflammatory compounds from our diet. Also getting grounded to the earth is where we absorb negative electricity and negative electrons that push all the positive ionization off us, which is causing inflammation, and also causing anti-inflammatory equilibrium within the body, so an anti-inflammatory state. Also consuming foods that we know have antioxidants as well, which will remove or reduce inflammation and oxidation, and also consuming anti-inflammatory products, whether they're fish oil. Fish oil is essential in that, because we need to focus on the omega-3 and omega-6 ratio, which I've done a video of before, so we won't go into full depth of that. But omega-3 are the anti-inflammatory compounds, omega-6 are the pro-inflammatory compounds. We do need omega-6 compounds, but sadly in our diet we consume way too much of the omega-6 and not enough of the omega-3. So we need to be focusing on what omega-3 foods that we can get into our diet, and what anti-inflammatory compounds we can get into the diet, which goes into herbalism such as ginger, turmeric, and all those sorts of things, which are natural anti-inflammatories. Another component that you can't deny the importance of is vitamin D and sunshine. Vitamin D has been found to be the one compound that can kind of modulate gene expression. So what I mean by that, it has the ability to turn off the bad genes, so the genetic stuff that could be causing cancer or causing heart disease or diabetes and so on. Vitamin D alone is something like it causes modulation of gene expression of 10% of all your genes, which is incredible. One substance in itself, and that's vitamin D. So wouldn't that be important? Yes, definitely. So in summertime, getting good sun exposure between the hours of 10 to 2, because that's when the sun is at the highest, that will increase your ability to be able to absorb vitamin D. And then in winter, really, if you're a lower end of the earth climate, such as New Zealand and Australia, is in the winter, consuming a vitamin D supplement is very beneficial. And I'm not talking about just 1,000 units here and there. I'm talking about 5,000 units plus a day. So do some research on that. So essentially, that's it in regards to the basic principles that we do know of. There's no denying these factors. And so this is a very easy, basic way to just make sure that you're keeping on track with your health, is to think of the 4 elements. Earth, so being grounded to the earth, which will create an anti-inflammatory equilibrium within the body. So remove and purge out a lot of things that are causing, on an electrical level, that's causing your body to be inflamed in the first place. The air that you breathe, again, this is ionization. Breathing a negative ionization is going to create anti-inflammatory state in your body. Being aware that if we're indoors, especially in the winter, we're breathing in a lot of stale air, and we need to get fresh air. Even if we live in the city, the air outside's more helpful to the human body than the air that we breathe during we are indoors. So we need to be aware of that. The water that we drink, and the amount of water and the quality of the water. And we need to state the quality of water because it doesn't get talked enough about, what we spoke about. And then also the sun, which is fire, is the 4 elements. So keep those 4 elements at the front of what you're thinking about in regards to maintaining a healthy lifestyle and creating a nutritional paradigm that's only going to encourage health and an anti-inflammatory state within the body, which is only going to reduce your likelihood of getting any disease or illnesses. So thanks for watching, thanks for listening.